Welcome to the Happy Disruptors podcast. If you're a creative thinker with an unconventional approach to your industry, you just might be a happy disruptor. Join your friends at the Great Outdoors Foundation for honest conversations about tackling critical issues like conservation with an uncritical disposition. If you like to smile and get things done, this is the podcast for you.
Hello and welcome to the Happy Disruptors podcast. I'm Katie and I'm so excited to be joined once again by two of our board members for our series Meet the Board. So before we jump into questions, Georgia, why don't you share a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm Georgia Van Gundy, and I have been a lifelong Iowan. So I grew up east of town in a rural area on a farm, and so this has been my home forever. And we just decided to never leave Iowa, and we have a lot of commitment to the state and for it to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. And now you, Kurt.
Kurt Mumm. I'm with Cushman and Wakefield, Iowa Commercial Advisors. Lifelong Iowan as well, from Western Iowa, and kind of outdoorsy, and been involved with the board for probably close to 10 years now.
Yeah, it's been a while.
The
Great segue into our next question. You know, the Great Outdoors Foundation really has a diverse slate of board of directors. Everyone, just about everyone comes from a different sector or industry. And I think it's a lot of fun because we're not sort of a traditional group of conservationists. So I'm curious, for the two of you, what motivated you to get involved with the Great Outdoors Foundation? Maybe we can start with you.
I think originally I got involved to help with a capital campaign for the Jester Park Nature Center.
Oh, yeah.
Live up close to Jester Park, so that was an easy one to do. And then after that, Joe Corfitz asked me or invited me to get on the board. And, you know, it's been bannered about a little bit. It used to be a bunch of guys that just like to hunt and fish and
be
outdoors
absolutely.
and stuff. I would probably fall into that category. So, but yeah, it's been great.
We have Joe to thank for several board members. He was a great recruiter.
He was.
Absolutely.
Very, very influential and persuasive. So.
Absolutely. And how about you, Georgia?
Well, I know both Hannah and Jen, and they talked to me about it. And my history is I have farming on both sides of my family. So my mom's side have Century Farms. My in-laws have farmed for probably, I know my father-in-law for over 50 years, and then his father before him.
Yeah.
And then we had a hobby farm growing up. So my dad was actually an engineer, but we had a hobby farm. So I've been in and around farming. I represented farmers for a while, working at Farm Bureau. And conservation, I know, is a very important issue in our state.
Yeah.
And it's something that we all talk about and issues that we all want to solve. But the thing that it can be very polarizing, and what I really loved about the Great Outdoors Foundation is I feel like, and we'll probably talk about this a little bit later, but they've really kind of found, I call it the secret sauce of really bringing people together to address conservation and find unique solutions and bringing different players to the table to make progress. So I was excited about that because I'm passionate about it. I know that farmers want to be a great steward of our land, and they care about it. And so I think, I'd like to have that voice at the table to be helpful.
Yeah, most definitely. I think, you know, Georgia, your background is really interesting. Both of you growing up in Iowa, you know, you have deep roots here. And there really is this connection to the land, which I think is so special. So what about growing up on a farm and having farming in your family, how would you say that's influenced your connection to the great outdoors?
Just through the fact that, Great Outdoors Foundation, or just being outside?
I just mean outside.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
I love to be outside. So there's a lot of things I like to be outside. I like to hike. I like to kayak. I like being outside working. Whether, I know it sounds strange, but I used to love to mow. We had 55 acres, so I would do all the mowing for my folks and helping them with our farm. I enjoyed doing that. For me, I love hard work, so it's kind of like fun hard work, but you're outdoor and doing it. But I love being outside. I love the sunshine. I just love the peace of being outside.
Definitely. And I would imagine you get plenty of peace when you're out fishing, hunting. Tell us about that.
It is one of the places where it just, you can hit the reset button or the recharge button. My family has farm ground over in western Iowa in the Luss Hills, and just growing up in that environment and being outdoors is a privilege, and I think a lot of people take it for granted being from rural Iowa and stuff, especially now that we're in the city and so forth. But I think that's kind of my passion, is just trying to make sure that there's going to be opportunities for people to experience some of the stuff that I got to experience in my childhood. And, we've always been very active as far as keeping our kids outside and getting them away from the computers. And let's go for a hike. And like I said, with Jester, we're pretty close to that. Kids are acting up, throw them in the car, and let's go look at the buffalo and the elk up there.
Exactly.
Been great. But it's, having that connection to the land and so forth is something that I don't think you should take for granted. And it was a privilege growing up with that. And it's something that, as you see the development and the sprawl and some of that stuff, I think you have to be intentional in setting aside places where people can experience and engage with nature on a different level, or a level in general. So
yeah,
definitely.
Absolutely agree with that.
So you have mentioned Jester a couple of times. Do you guys have favorite outdoor amenities or locations, parks here in the metro?
I'll start with Jester, because of proximity and so forth. So it's a wonderful, wonderful place. They've done a nice job. Again, the Nature Center's been really, really cool as far as a way to engage people and so forth. But it's just creating those spaces. It's been awesome. So
it's a gorgeous, gorgeous property.
Yeah, we love Greenwood Park, and we go down to Greenwood Park and do a lot of walking around there. It's just the trees and how peaceful it is. And then Grays Lake, doing some kayaking there, or the park in West Des Moines, doing some kayaking there. We like doing that as well. So those are our spots, but definitely Greenwood is, because I just love trees. We grew up with a lot of oak trees around us, and it's peaceful when you get out there walking around.
Most definitely. And we are so fortunate to have such strong partners in the municipal parks and recreation departments and Polk County Conservation. I think we're pretty spoiled here in central Iowa with just the access to amenities. And so I do love just all of the opportunities that we have to support those public partners with the work that they're doing, to have it be no or low cost for people to enjoy.
Well, like Easter Lake. So I used to go to Easter Lake when I was a kid. So we would, because my grandparents lived on the south side, and we would kind of take a back road, and we'd always go by Easter Lake, and then we go fishing at Easter Lake. So it's kind of fun to see how much it's changed.
Absolutely.
And the investment that has been made in that lake over time to really make it a place that's accessible to all people, so that they can enjoy it. But it's really changed, over the years of me sitting there with my bobber still sitting up. Didn't think I had a fish, but I did have a fish. But it was just a place that was special for us, and I love how it looks now, and that a lot more people can enjoy it.
Yeah.
And the bike paths too.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
The bike trails, the Neil Smith and so forth, and around Saylorville, it's just really nice, especially on a nice day, to see all the people out there. I'm on Lower Beaver, and once that bike path or bike trail went in, it's amazing the neighbors that you didn't know you had. That's like, I didn't know you lived out here. Well, I didn't know you did either, walking the dogs or whatnot. It's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, there is this kind of cool secondary benefit of, it really does seem to be a humanizing connector for people too when you're outside. When you're at a park with other, kids love to play with other kids. And I remember growing up, and you'd go to the playground somewhere and be playing with, kids that you had never met before, or, you're out walking your dog and you can't help but say hello to the people who are biking past. And I think that is another just benefit of the outdoors. It really gets people out and connected with one another, which is, really important.
Real quick, funny story on Easter.
Please.
So I mean, they restocked it and so forth. So it's still growing as far as its fish population. There's a group of guys out there that fish farm ponds and other places, and they catch huge fish. Well, the one thing you don't do is if somebody says, well, where'd you catch it? In the water or whatnot.
Right.
You don't tell them where you caught it.
Yeah.
So then for a while after they did the restocking and, so forth, they would constantly, when they posted pictures of their fish, they'd say Easter Lake. And for those that know, there wasn't anything.
No,
Easter
there
Lake.
was
exactly.
Funny. Did you see what that guy caught at Easter Lake?
They're not giving away their
No, they're not giving
secrets.
the secrets. So
I love that.
That's code. So,
That is for sure. So shifting gears a little bit, Georgia, I know you mentioned collaboration earlier. Our organizational values are innovation, collaboration, and stewardship. And I'm wondering if one of those really resonates with you, if all of them do, if there's one that you are, sort of uncertain. Talk to me a little bit about those values.
Well, all of those values resonate with me, but I think in particular, as I mentioned before, for the Great Outdoors Foundation, I think collaboration is paramount. Like I said, I've been around conservation issues for a long time, and they're polarizing.
Yeah.
I mean, you definitely have people on both sides, and there's a lot of, I think, accusations that occur. And I think that what the Great Outdoors Foundation has done is really create a space where other people have come to the table to really create solutions, to get past the kind of the blame game, but instead, what do we need to be doing to move the needle forward together and have strategies and work together to accomplish that? And sometimes that's going to be a tough spot for an organization like this to be in, because you will have some that won't think you're doing enough, and you'll have some that maybe think you're doing too much, right? But I think you need to show progress, and you do, and this organization does show progress. I think that's important. The thing that I appreciated, so Pat Bodie was at the your annual event, and what I loved about her comments was she got up and she said, usually when I come to these events, I know most of the people in the room. And what I think there was like 400 or 500 people in the room. And she said, this time I maybe know 20%, which I think is a great kudos to the Great Outdoors Foundation, because you are getting different voices and perspectives to the table, people who just really want to try to accomplish something rather than polarize the issue.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, Georgia. I think you see that in our board, definitely. We have folks who represent pretty much any point on the conservation spectrum from like a philosophical level. And, when you make an issue black and white, there's really not a whole lot of room for nuance or sort of the variance in perspective. And I think it really feels like as a state, we're getting to a point where everyone really wants to be a part of coming to a solution. And so our perspective is, if you want to make the state better with conservation, particularly, water quality is of course front of mind, then there's room at the table for you. So it's always encouraging when Pat says something like that, because she is an OG in the conservation world, and obviously thinks super, super highly of her. Appreciate that. Yeah. How about you?
I'll echo what Georgia said, but I'm probably leaning more on the stewardship and just preserving those spaces. I think one of the neat things that Great Outdoors Foundation has done, though, is made it easy for corporate citizens to get involved. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that say, okay, how do I do it? And there's some companies that just are looking for opportunities to write checks. But there's others that, they really want to get involved. They want their people to have buy-in and so forth too. And I think that's difficult if you don't have an organization like Great Outdoors Foundation that is facilitating some of that stuff. And I think that's one of the things that Hannah and the rest of the staff have really done a good job, is engaging with some of those people and giving them an outlet to say, here are some things that you can do that make a difference. And like I said, I think there's a lot of companies involved that really want to have a positive impact. I think the days of saying, well, it doesn't affect me are kind of behind us, especially with some of the water quality issues coming to the forefront and so forth. I think everybody wants to be an active participant in making it better, and I think Great Great Outdoors Foundation allows them that, some avenues to do that. So,
Yeah.
I'm going to throw in the innovation. I have to, but
Definitely.
collaboration was my first one. But I mean, and I think the organization has really come up with innovative solutions too, and I think that's important. Not only that, but also helping people understand processes. So if I think about the funding side of things, it's very cumbersome to get through all the federal programming and red tape for a farmer to be able to put practices on their ground. And so people don't, why aren't you doing it faster? Well, because it takes some time. And I think you guys do a great job of trying to articulate that to people who don't understand. But then also you're bringing innovative solutions to the table through the fund, conservation fund, or through some of the other things that I don't know that have been publicly talked about yet that I know are going to be great innovative ways to get more practices on farm that have not been done through other organizations. And I think that's where I say when you actually want to create solutions, it can be done.
Yeah.
And getting the right people around the table to do it.
Definitely. I think we have so many great partners who all play a different role in this ecosystem. And so we've just been really fortunate to be able to play sort of a connecting role and bring them together because, in a lot of these situations, there are components of that solution that are just siloed from one another or maybe, there hasn't been this missing piece. And so I'm really excited about some of the solutions that we have coming up in the next year and just the opportunity to further support the work of public partners who are really working on getting that infrastructure in the ground. And then on the flip side, supporting the farmers and the conservation agronomists and making sure that they are resourced in a way that makes it easier for them to do the thing that they want to do, which is, oftentimes what we are wanting as well.
Yes.
So it works out really well. So Kurt, I'm curious from your perspective, being on the board for, almost a decade, what role do you think board members play in advancing the mission of the nonprofits that they serve?
I think first and foremost, it's connections and connectivity. I mean, we've all got our own specific spheres of influence or Rolodex, so to speak, and certain people might have different abilities to just pick up the phone and say, hey, here's something that you really need to look at. And I think that's one piece of being a good board member and being engaged and involved in some of that stuff is just being an advocate for the mission and trying to reach out and get more people involved that would have an interest and so forth, and making those introductions and just, so a lot of that stuff, I think.
Definitely. Georgia, how about you?
I agree with that, with everything Kurt just said. But I also think, and part of that is also bringing our thought leadership to the table.
Yeah.
Helping as you put together strategies and innovative solutions and things like that, how can we bring our experience that we have to help shape those and support you guys in that. And I also think, and again, as I mentioned, for the Great Outdoors Foundation, I think you're a great advocate for the work. And like I said, some might think you're not doing enough and some might think, you're doing too much.
We're walking a tight line over here.
Right. And so you kind of get in the middle of it all. And that part of our job is to help support that, which is what Kurt was saying as well. But, just talking about that mission externally and saying, why what you're doing is really good and helping you within those sticky situations, I think is part of our role.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, back to your first point, Georgia, we have a really relatively small team for, I think, the work that we're doing. And so we know that we do not have the full breadth of knowledge and understanding that we have just within our staff. And so we rely really heavily on the perspective of the board. We also have, a whole committee structure that is advising us, again, with various expertise. And then certainly, you know, we have so many external partners that are constantly helping us to sharpen our perspectives and adapt our programs so that they're more effective. And I know I value so much the board members who have perspective. Obviously, my field is marketing and communications. So, you know, when I can pick up the phone and call Joey or run an idea by, you know, you, Georgia, or we've got Lauren on the board now too, it's just invaluable because we have, you know, a whole 9 of us, I think, right now. And it's beyond what we have capability internally. So we're really fortunate to have that additional layer of support and understanding.
A whole 9 of you doing a whole lot of work. I mean, there's a lot going on, which is awesome.
Yeah, it is. And you know, that's not to knock. I'm of course biased, but we've got an amazing team. So that's not to knock the talent and obviously expertise that we have. But it's so great to have that sounding board.
And to see the growth of the group and the organization over the course of even the last 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been really, really neat to see. I mean, you know, it's coming back from the perspective of it was kind of a offshoot of Polk County Conservation. It was the private group, and there wasn't a lot of stuff going on. And we were talking about, you know, different fundraiser opportunities.
Right.
And we were talking about numbers that are a lot different than what we're talking about now. So it's been a lot of fun to watch the growth.
I also say the thing I love about the team is you guys are not, nope, we can't do that. That can't happen. I mean, the whole team is like, okay, let's try this. Let's do that. Let's, you know, and you all are always open to different ideas and different ways to do things. But you're very strategic about it then, and you all put a lot of thought to it and have great plans that you put together around it. But there's never like nope, we can't do that. It's always like, okay, well, let's look at that. Is that an opportunity? Let's, you know, let's explore it more. Should we be doing it? So that's what I love about the team.
I think
that you guys have.
I think that is something that Hannah has really instilled in us is we just don't really know is not really a part of our vocabulary. It's just not yet, or we need to figure out how to adjust this, or, you know, we can implement it to some degree at this point, but maybe we need to wait on timing for other pieces. And so I do think it makes it a really fun work environment because you are constantly adapting and, you know, trying to perceive those opportunities, those innovative opportunities that we probably wouldn't have gotten to if we were just like, this isn't going to work, you know? So, that's all to Hannah's credit.
Well, and to Hannah, too. I mean, you know, over the course of the last, 5-6 years, she has really become the voice of a lot of this engagement with water quality issues and so forth, and just the work that she's done and, getting out there in front of people and the exposure that we're getting from a state level, a regional level, and even a national level is really, really amazing. And that doesn't just happen. That's a concerted effort to push
Absolutely.
issue forward. So, and she does a great job with that.
Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. So what recommendation would the two of you make, backing up more generally to just getting involved in the nonprofit sector? What recommendation would you make to someone who wants to be involved in philanthropy, but maybe has never served on a board or is looking for volunteer opportunities? What's sort of that first right step?
For me, you got to have some passion. I mean, there's a lot of companies that, and when I first started at Mid-America Group, working for a gentleman, Marvin Pomerantz was a huge philanthropic individual in the community. He made sure that everybody knew it was part of their expectations to be involved in the community and on nonprofits and so forth. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? Is that, these 4 things, or can we be involved? As long as you're involved So all of a sudden I'm in Ducks Unlimited and Pheasants Forever. I'm like, this is great. I was going to do this stuff anyway.
Fantastic.
But you have to have, I mean, there's a lot of boards. There's a lot of things out there that you can get involved in. And there's a lot of great causes.
Yeah.
But everybody's got to find that thing that just kind of gets them a little more excited than something else. I mean, it makes it really easy to get involved, give your time, give some of your talent, some of your resources and so forth when you're really engaged in that stuff and you have a passion for it. So,
Yeah, I love that.
I agree with exactly what Kurt said. And then I think once you figure out what that passion is and where you want to go, just call the nonprofit. They're always looking for people.
Definitely.
And try to think past the popular nonprofits too. I mean, you have a lot of smaller nonprofits in our community, and especially now. After COVID, I think there are a number of nonprofits that are struggling and would definitely benefit from a lot of the talented people that we have in our community. You know, the thing that when we talk about why Iowa, Kurt and I were talking about that a little bit prior to this. If you're a young person, the great thing about our community is that, versus like a Chicago, let's just say, is that you can get involved early and make an impact. And you can do that at the nonprofit level because there's a lot of opportunity and they're always looking for people. And then that connects you to a lot of leaders in our community that might not happen in like a Chicago as it can in Des Moines. So there's a lot of ways that if you're an individual who wants to be impactful, that you can get engaged and be impactful and move the needle in our community. But you just call them, honestly. People are just looking for people.
Yeah, there really is, with retrenchment in public funding and just there's some really significant needs out there that mission-driven work is doing all they can to address. And I think the more the private sector can come alongside, either in volunteering or obviously like financial support, that is the missing piece for a lot of these nonprofits to be able to do the, really estimable work that they are doing day in and day out. So absolutely. I love that. Just call them up. That's exactly. I can't. Exactly. Well, Kurt and Georgia, any closing thoughts before we move to our final segment of the podcast?
No, just super proud to be part of the board and the work that they're doing, going from what it was to now a regional / statewide endeavor that is really focused on some really neat stuff. That's pretty technical, but just a lot of cool work. So
yeah. Absolutely.
Well, I would just say if you care about conservation in our state, stay tuned because there's going to be a lot of opportunity to be engaged with the Great Outdoors Foundation. Not necessarily on their board, but everything else that will be coming forward where you can make a difference and be involved in a positive movement to make impacts in conservation.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. There's a lot of good stuff ahead. I'm excited. I'm excited for that. You'll have to tune in later this year for those podcast episodes. Okay, well, we're gonna close with our segment. Let's whiteboard it. So you guys each have a whiteboard on your tables with a marker there in the front. So what we like to do with this, it's a question off the cuff. So Kurt and Georgia don't know what I'll be asking, and you can either write or draw your response. We do have some artists who have
going for writing.
That's totally fine. Okay, so our Let's Whiteboard It question for today is, in your own words, what does conservation mean to you? And you can write or draw. And while Kurt and Georgia are giving us their responses, make sure to like and subscribe wherever you are listening to this episode. Go ahead and share this with a friend who might benefit from hearing the perspective of Kurt and Georgia And then make sure to follow along with what we are doing at the Great Outdoors Foundation. We're on all major social platforms. You can also go to greatoutdoorsfoundation.org and sign up for our monthly newsletter. There's lots of great resources in there, sharing what our partners are doing, project spotlights, and then the latest conservation news. So would love to have you on that distribution list. Have I given you guys enough time?
Yeah.
I see some drawing going on.
See?
I'm very
Well, she said she was going words. So I'm going
No,
drawing.
excellent.
drawing for me.
Okay, who would like to go first?
I'll go.
You're ready. All right, go for it.
Do it. So this
Oh
is
yeah, so you can turn around to your
a
camera.
family out in the outdoors. There's
Yes.
a river and trees and stuff. So it's
Yeah.
just conservation is being able to provide opportunities for people to engage with nature. So
Yeah, I love that.
I can't draw. So
I can't either, but
that's really good. I just said preserving the past and honoring it while evolving.
Yeah,
So that's
that's really good.
what I wrote.
I love it.
Yeah.
You guys have been great. Well, thanks so much for joining.
Yeah,
Thanks
thanks
for
for having
listening, and we will see you next week.